The audience is great. I love the Silicon Slopes community. Happy to be a part of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the CEO of BambooHR, Brad Rencher.
Good morning. I'm Brad. As you can probably tell from my highly mysterious accent, I'm a local. And I've been involved in Silicon Slopes in one way or another for 20 years. And I'm very proud of what we're doing. But I want to spend the next few minutes maybe not patting ourselves on the back and challenging us maybe to think different, take a different perspective about what the future should be, unlocking perhaps a new era that's upon us that we're going to need to react to, think about, and provide a formula for creating the uncommon. Because I think we love firsts in our life. We love to document all these first things that exhilarate us, excite us. They might intimidate us, and that they create the hope for the future. I mean, how boring would our life be without some of these firsts? And these being the early days of a new decade, we all get to have some new beginnings. We get to go after it. We get to find inspiration, look at where we are, and be intentional about what are the next things that we should do. And as the new CEO of BambooHR, this is right upon me. There's a big new learning curve, and it's here, and it started to create a different meaning of the word experience for me. Because for those of you who are not familiar, BambooHR has been creating something for the last decade that's special. The mission is really to help millions of people bring their best selves to life, igniting their passions and stepping forward at work and in all aspects of their life. And from the beginning, the focus has really been around the employees since day one, driven by a belief that any business's potential is really harnessed by who your employees are, what their capabilities, and what their hopes and dreams are. And this experience, I think, is now prevalent across all industries, all sizes of companies, all geographies. It's one that we're all facing. Perhaps it's time to change the meaning of what work is and be aligned with people's values and passions. In the workplace, maybe introduce a little humanity back into what we do every day, because I think that's where we find inspiration and where true engagement comes from every single day. This idea of this experience, I think it's ushering in a new era of what it means to have people on our teams, be part of a team. In this era, I think we want to be intellectually challenged, and we want the opportunity to impact the world in a different way. And as I personally shift from my own personal era, working at Adobe, to the literal green fields of bamboo, one thing is very clear. We are all facing this massive transformation in all of our business. And what I learned at Adobe for the last decade, where I focused on helping companies across the world optimize their customer interactions in milliseconds, being able to personalize those moments. Across the halls of every Fortune 500 company and small and medium-sized business in the world, this echoed in the hallways. Customer experience is king. Put the customer at the center. We've all heard it. What if we're wrong? What if that's actually the wrong way to go about it? Because we're asking our employees, who may actually have a horrible experience with our brand and our company, to put on the smile and their best face to interact with our customers. How authentic and genuine is that? And I think that for us, maybe stepping back and going up the ladder and not thinking about the customer first, but thinking about what does day one for an employee feel like? What does day 1,000 feel like? This employee experience, how engaged our teams are, I believe it will be the defining moment in this new experience era. It will determine whether our companies succeed or fail. And the question is, as leaders, as team members, are we ready to react to that? Are we ready to take advantage of that? Because I think the future, this experience era, is full of possibilities. And because finally, after all this time, it's about us, what we want to create, imagine, and hope for the future. And since we're all at this precipice together, here in Silicon Slopes, I hope that we can approach this new era with a childlike excitement and curiosity to jump in and embrace what this might mean for us. Because in business and life, why would we settle for anything less than the uncommon? And what I mean by this uncommon life, or what it looks like in real life, is found all around us. People inspire me. And I want to give a few examples of people who inspire me of what this word uncommon means. And the first person is John Warnock. John Warnock went to Olympus High School. He graduated there, went to the University of Utah. As a graduate student, he found himself in the middle of a project for the ARPANET, one of the 5 institutions that was setting the foundation for what the future of the internet was going to be. He engaged in that as a graduate student, went on to found a company that has such impact in the world and the technology that they developed that 2 of those products are now verbs. They describe how we do things in and around the world. In his life, he's gone on to be a wonderful philanthropist and community builder. He inspires me. Next, I can't help but think of Kobe this week. That's an uncommon life. Of all the articles that were written over the last few days, the one that resonated most with me was Eric Walden from the Salt Lake Tribune, who wrote the article with the picture of a Utah Jazz hometown fan. I am one. I remember Kobe's rookie year, where in the playoffs against the hometown Utah Jazz, he airballed 4 shots. The Jazz won. It was a complete failure for this rookie that was so highly touted. And then I remember as a Utah Jazz fan, watching him hang 60 points on the Utah Jazz in his last game before retirement. He shot his shot for 20 years and lived an uncommon life. The last person I want to mention is someone who grew up right on top of Capitol Hill. Her name's Rowena Ashton Carter. She's my grandma Carter. And this last week with my family, we celebrated her 94 years of life. You asked her in the last few weeks of her life, like, Grandma, tell me about how you felt about the impact that you had on the world. She's like, I lived a common life. But when you sat around and looked at the relationships that she had nurtured for the last 70 years with her children and grandchildren, it was anything but common. It was uncommon, and her legacy will last for generations to come. I'm inspired by her. And I'm sure there are people in your life who inspire you to create the uncommon. And what we can learn from those that inspire us, and these other personal examples of how we go do this in this new experience era. I want to walk through a few tenets that I've put together to help you think through how we might do this in the business community, how we might do this in our personal lives. And the first is thoughts. The power of our thoughts. Second is time, and specifically the concept of time and how it interacts with what we choose to do every day. And the third is trust. And specifically, what trust are we embracing here in Silicon Slopes? And I believe everyone here in this room can live an uncommon life, and we're already well on our way. You look at all the statistics that we threw out, jobs, the economic growth. We are becoming the economic engine for the state and for the nation. But I think that maybe we need to actually think a little bigger, and that brings us to our thoughts. We often hear about the power of thoughts, that we can't create anything uncommon unless we actually open our mind to the idea that that might be possible. So then why is it that our minds, many times when a new idea comes, it's like we could go do this, we might go do this. Why is it that we start to actually immediately want to compartmentalize those ideas? Like, okay, I need to limit this, I need to constrain this, control this, maybe risk manage it because I'm not sure what the other side's going to look like. As we talk about these new categories that might be created in technology that we should lead out on, many times I see people sit back, fold their arms, and it's like, oh, I'm sure that someone's been funded to do this. There's some engineer in Delhi, India that's probably already figured this out, or in New York City, or San Francisco, California. We like to think that we give more people credit than maybe they deserve. So the question I have in the midst of all this with our thoughts, open your mind to this idea. Why not us? Someone's going to create this new category. Someone's going to lead out to go do this. Why not us? We're of average intellect and we work hard, but why not us? Why not me? Why not now? And as we do this, I think it does open our minds to what those possibilities might be. Where can you look for inspiration? Google has a 10x thinking where they try to implement this inside their company to drive the contribution of these big ideas. Take Elon Musk at Tesla. Now, love or hate Elon, he has mastered this principle. You cannot deny the power of big thinking. Although, actually, personally, I'm still not sure about the Cybertruck. And that discipline to think big is what really matters, and it has to be part of the company's DNA. And this type of thinking really drove the big vision from a bootstrap business to one that just operated differently, just chose to do it differently. BambooHR's founders, Ben Peterson and Ryan Sanders, are a testament to the power of big thinking, building a category-defining, industry-leading company where you could actually be human at work. They created a place where they'd actually want to go to work even if they weren't the co-founders. And as we can see, our thoughts are the most powerful indicator of where we're going to end up. And as we harness this element of time comes into the forefront. And this concept of time is it's one I've been thinking a lot about. And I don't know if I'm getting old and I'm getting a sense for my own mortality, but it's a complicated principle because time is very exact. Time is finite. Time is something that we cannot hack. We can't cheat time. We can't take back time. Time is undefeated. And it probably is the most valuable resource that's available to any one of us in our lives. And I believe that it always takes more time than we think to create meaningful impact and results in life. Take our personal life. Any of you tried to raise a kid recently? I mean, it's exhausting, and you don't know for 25 years whether you're any good at it. I love you, Emma. Take our professional lives. We like to talk a lot about celebrating these overnight successes of companies. They came from nowhere, out of the blue. So let me give you some examples of overnight successes in technology, companies that are doing better today than they've ever done before. Microsoft, that's a 45-year overnight success. Came out of nowhere. You didn't see it coming. Take Amazon, that's a 36-year overnight success. Take Adobe, 35-year overnight success. Most valuable it's ever been in its entire history today. Salesforce, 22-year overnight success. You get the idea. Tesla, 17-year overnight success. Brian Halligan was just on stage. HubSpot, a 15-year overnight success. Here in Utah, some of the companies we love to talk about, Qualtrics, 18-year overnight success. Pluralsight, 16 years. You get the idea. BambooHR, my new family, that's a 12-year overnight success. It has been said that we overestimate what we can do in a year, and we underestimate what we can do in a decade. It takes decades at times to create the impact that we set out to achieve in business and our personal lives. Are we willing to stick to it long enough to achieve? How we spend our time is critical. Aristotle's got a great quote. It says, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, it is a habit of excellence. And so you think about the interaction of this habit of excellence that Aristotle talked about and what that means. You look at an equation. You look at time times a habit of excellence to create an uncommon life, uncommon relationships, uncommon customer love, uncommon products, uncommon companies, and an uncommon employee experience. This equation of time with a habit of excellence is a formula that we can use in all aspects of our lives to create the uncommon. And our time and how we spend it and who we choose to spend it with, it will define us and is what matters most. Because our purpose in business and in life is what brings us to this last tenet of trust. When we step back and articulate our reason for being, our purpose, our missions, we can trust that we're building something uncommon, that we're standing on the shoulders of those who have come before, the great innovators and the creators of cultures and communities. And the success stories that are coming out of this community today are industry leading. And the next wave, it's happening. What I see happening around, there's new industry leaders being created. And a personal story, a year ago, I stepped out into the unknown. I was at a company that I loved. I was in a role that I loved with a team who I loved. But I stepped out hoping for an opportunity to join a team that was focused on creating a category-leading industry or category-defining industry-leading company, not knowing what I was going to find. I was ready to relocate, unwilling to settle. And I found the best opportunity for me anywhere in the world right here in our backyard. What does that mean? What I found when I stepped out is there is a breadth and depth to what's happening in Silicon Slopes that you should be excited about. Because the next generation of Silicon Slope employees, people who are starting today, tomorrow, a year from now, are stepping in at a moment where you can grow your entire career right here. That wasn't always the case. A few years ago, if you got to a certain level or you could change jobs, you really had to leave the state. No more. We can have confidence from the entry level to the C-suite. There will be opportunities here for you, your children, and your grandchildren. But this opportunity, I don't think it's just about us as individuals. We have been trusted to leave our companies, this industry, the community and state better than we found it. We must give back more than we take. And so here we stand in our companies, in our lives, and in the community with this huge view of what the opportunities in front will be. There's so much that we can go do. But to you, my colleagues and friends in Silicon Slopes, why not us? Why not seize this opportunity, create the uncommon? We can raise our gaze, we control our time and our habits. T.S. Eliot said that only those who risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. Let's go find out together. I hope to be part of your Silicon Slopes journey. Thank you very much.